Talia, senior news editor, someone who's followed the case closely, is joining us. Mr. Raj Gopalan needs no introduction. Senior journalist Aditya Pratap, young bright lawyer, joining us from Mumbai. Good morning to all of you. Aditya, good morning. I'll come back to you, but let me quickly understand from Siddharth the broad contours of this case. Siddharth, just break it down for our viewers.
Yeah,
both the cases. Let's start with the Shinde case because Chief Minister's job is at stake.
Well, it's a very complicated matter where there are lots of issues that the Supreme Court's Constitution bench in this matter is examining, Pranesh, and they've had detailed hearings and lots of oral observations, significant ones at that have been made by the judge, Justice Chandrachud, who's leading the bench. Now, some of the issues that will be under scrutiny are, of course, the fact that the governor decided to call in a floor test, even though the Shiv Sena had not formally split as a party. Now remember, Eknath Shinde did rebel against Uddhav Thackeray, but both Eknath Shinde as well as those in his camp claimed that they're the true legatees of Balasaheb Thackeray. They claimed that they were the true Shiv Sena. So in this particular instance, you've not had a formal split of the Shiv Sena, with both wings of the Shiv Sena claiming that they're the true Shiv Sena. So in the absence of a formal split within the party, could the governor actually have interfered in the matter and called for a floor test? So that's one of the key issues that the Supreme Court is examining. Can the governor actually also interfere when it's a disagreement within two wings of the party as opposed to a clear-cut defection? Now here, there has been no defection. It's not as if the members of the Shiv Sena pledging allegiance to Eknath Shinde have quit the party and joined forces with another party. So therefore, that's another issue that's under the radar of the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court, remember, in the oral observations, has also questioned Uddhav Thackeray as to why he chose to resign before appearing before the Legislative Assembly for a floor test. Remember that there was no floor test at the end of the day for the simple reason that the Chief Minister had actually decided to put in his papers. So that's another matter that the Supreme Court has raised during the course of its oral observations as to why did the Uddhav Thackeray faction of the Chief Minister himself step down, and did that not actually complicate matters? One thing that's also very important to highlight to our viewers is that the Supreme Court did talk
Siddharth,
about...
I'm sorry to come in here. Harish Nair, our legal editor, has just made it in time before he gets back to the courtroom. Harish, over to you. Quickly sum up what's likely to come up.
Yes, in fact, Pranesh, a very massive, very critical judgment as far as the Maharashtra politics is concerned. The Supreme Court, in fact, will first decide on whether on the disqualification of the 15 Shinde-led rebel MLAs, but the Supreme Court during the hearing had repeatedly said that disqualification is the domain of the Speaker. We'll have to wait and watch whether the Supreme Court remands back the disqualification application to the Speaker. And number two, the Supreme Court had pulled up the Governor B.S. Koshari during the hearing that he should not have entered into the political thicket, and said that he had precipitated the fall of the government. So we are expecting some even strictures against the Maharashtra governor. And number three, Supreme Court is expected to decide whether a notice of removal of Speaker restricts him from deciding the disqualification of the MLAs. Number four, the Supreme Court may also set a deadline for speakers to decide on disqualification, please. So, but from the tone and tenor of the Supreme Court hearing, it's very evident that the Supreme Court might not do anything to give any order which will result in unseating of Shinde-BJP government and also Eknath Shinde as chief, because Supreme Court had repeatedly said that logical thing for Uddhav Thackeray to do was to first go take the trust vote, lose it, and then come to Supreme Court challenging the governor's order for trust vote, and also the violation of whip by the 15 Eknath Shinde-led MLAs. So that was not done. So Supreme Court repeatedly said that we wonder whether now much water has passed down the bridge, and also whether we can set the clock back, and how can we reinstate a Chief Minister who had resigned before taking the trust vote.
That's right. This is about the rebellion and the consequent floor test. Whether or not it is illegal, we will have to wait and watch what the Supreme Court decides. Harish, apart from the political players that are in the mix, let's also quickly talk about the lawyers, the legal eagles that we are talking about. Sibbal, Abhishek Manu Singhvi, N.K. Paul, Mahesh Jetmalani, Harish Salve.
Yes, the Uddhav faction was represented top legal like Kapil Sibal, Abhishek Mani Singhvi, Dushan Dave, and while the Shinde faction had the top guns like Neeraj Kishan Kaul, Mahesh Jethmanani, and several battery of top lawyers. So it was a battle of the titans during the hearing, 9-day hearing, during which Supreme Court had repeatedly said that, as I said, going by the tone and tenor of the hearing, unless something drastic turnaround, the Eknath Shinde BJP government might not be dislodged, and the Eknath Shinde might continue as the chief minister. But we'll have to wait and watch what really happens when the Supreme Court pronounces its judgment in the Sena Vs Sena matter around 11:15.
But that's not the